Ken Warrington, thanks so very much. I'm Dave Little, and it's time to climb in the Sulky. My special guest tonight is a man that I call the aggressive one, George Napolitano Jr. George, thanks so much for spending a couple of minutes with us tonight.
Thank you.
George, you've been around a long time. You've won over 10,000 races. Let's get right to it. Tonight, the fog looks absolutely incredible. I actually put it on my stopwatch. I saw the first 10 seconds of the third qualifier and the last 10 seconds of the third qualifier. What does the fog do to you in terms of what you guys have to do with your decision-making out on the track?
Well, it's been a long time since I raced in conditions like that, really foggy. But, I mean, safety's first. So, you just got to have to go out for the first race and play it by ear and just, see how it looks.
Now, generally, when you have these kind of foggy conditions, when you're out on the track, I assume the visibility is a heck of a lot better than what it is for us from the grandstand.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, until we get out there, there was guys out there in the qualifiers, but until I get out there, I'll have to, see how it looks.
All right, now you got here on September the 12th, so happy anniversary. It's been 3 months since you got here to the Meadowlands. In your estimation, obviously, you're third in the driver's standings. Are your victories exceeding your expectations?
I'm just very grateful that, Jeff Correll invited me to race here, and I'm just take it day by day.
So far, the fact of the matter is you've driven for some of the bigger stables. It seems to me that success has come at a fast rate for you.
Yeah, I'm very grateful and fortunate that I got, some really great trainers that have been listing me on horses, and I'm just going to keep the ball rolling.
All right, now let's talk a little bit about the Georgie Nap files, as I like to call them, and we're going to go to page 1 right now and talk a little bit about your background. First and foremost, your dad and your grandfather were big influences on your life. Tell us a little bit about them and how they influenced your harness racing career.
Just blessed, to be a part of it. It's in my DNA. It's a long history of harness racing. Comes from my grandfather and to my father, and both great horsemen, and I learned everything from both of them guys.
Now, what about this? You excelled at motocross and drag racing, so speed is what you need, is not only in harness racing.
Yeah, growing up as a kid when I was 15, 16, I was number 1 on the whole East Coast in motocross, and then kind of fell away from that and went drag racing. My dad got me into drag racing, and I did that for a lot of years too.
Now, I was a newspaper man for about 40 years. It's always great to get an exclusive. We have an exclusive right here on Racing from the Meadowlands. You, sir, are not George Napolitano Jr. Tell us who actually is.
No, actually, they made me put Junior when my grandfather was still alive and he had a big stable. They made me put Junior so it wasn't conflict of interest. But my son is the real Junior. Little Junior, he's 16, and he's named after his dad.
So apparently the programs can't take George Napolitano Jr., and that's why you're Gio Napolitano Jr.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. It's a little
Gio's
bit different,
right,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Now tell me, here at the Meadowlands, obviously we have the mile track. You drive against a lot of the guys who drive here on a consistent basis at Harrah's, Philadelphia. So tell me, is it track size that dictates how races are conducted, or is it the drivers themselves that determine how the races go?
No, I think it's track size too. All these guys that we drive with are all great, and it's just a learning process for me. I'm trying to learn the track. It's not as easy as it looks, and I'm just trying to adapt to the mile racing. But we all work together, and we've got a bunch of great guys.
Now, when you and I were talking the other night, we were speaking about how fast, in terms of front end, the Meadowlands is. Are you surprised at how speedy this track really is?
Yeah, I'm surprised, but it'll catch you. It's been catching me a lot. You go so fast, you don't know how fast you're going, and it's a big, long stretch, so you got to kind of be careful.
Now, let's talk about some career highlights. You drove a horse in the Breeders' Crown by the name of Homicide Hunter. Now, Homicide Hunter was a horse who is the fastest in the history of harness racing, 1:48 and 4/5 seconds. Now, this wasn't the mile that set that time record, but it certainly emerged as one of the biggest wins in your career. Can you walk us through the stretch run of Homicide Hunter? Let's take a look right now.
Yeah, I was kind of, he's a very lazy horse, and I was just hoping that I didn't give up on him. I know that he always trots hard in the stretch, and I was just praying I didn't give up on him, and he just did his job.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is, George, that for the most part, you'll get that room up the rail if you sit very patiently, will you not?
Yeah, I was going to pull to the outside, and Andy's horse kept on going, so I ducked back in. pretty wide open passing lane there, and I just got lucky. I had a great horse that night and great owners.
Now, for those of people who are watching who don't know, you've obviously been the dominant force on the Eastern Pennsylvania harness racing scene. We're going to take a look at page 2 of the Georgie Knapp files, which reveal you are a 14-time Pocono driving champion. You have 9 straight Pocono driving titles, and you're about to win your 9th title at Harrah's Philadelphia, again against all the guys who regularly drive at the Meadowlands. How do you account for all that success?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just grateful and truly blessed by, anybody can do what I do. I'm just truly blessed with the trainers that I have at both tracks, and all them guys are great, and they don't really race there as much as I do, especially at Poconos. But Chester and them guys leave a lot. I stick it out through the whole year. But I'm still grateful and thankful for everybody that makes this possible.
Now, the fact is that you've shown a great deal of adaptability to the mile track. And I want to take a look at a race that took place on December the 5th, just last Saturday night. We're going to take a look at Ruthless Hanover, because you were really chirping in my ear the other night about how great this horse was for Tom Cancelleri. But we're not going to show the finish of the race. We're going to show George just how your aggressive nature can win you races. Here is Ruthless Hanover making a move down the backstretch to the lead. Talk us through this, George.
Yeah, he gets real grabby. I was kind of fighting with him, and I just couldn't hold him in there any longer, and I just decided to just move him here.
Now, Ruthless Hanover from there, he was an outsider in the field. I think he went off at odds of 11-1, but he had no problem kicking home very, very quickly. Final quarter went in about 27 seconds, and he hit the wire in 1:48.4. That was the same time that American History won in that night.
Yeah, I think he's a very special animal. Let's just pray that I think they freshened him up. They're going to wait until next year for some big races. So just praying that he comes back good, which I know he will be. He's in good hands, and he stays sound.
Now, tonight in the preferred handicap, we have us probably the overnight race of the fall meeting. We have Anna Afrit, American History, Highlighter, not to mention Harambe Deo, who was a killer 3 and 4 starts back. Obviously, that horse might cycle back to where he was just a few weeks ago. Anna Afrit is your drive. He is off a win at Dover Downs. Tim Tetrick picked up the drive, where he went right by Highlighter on the way to Victory Lane after taking 18 days off. Did it surprise you that Anna Afrit was that good off the layoff?
He probably needed a little break. We've been racing him pretty hard, but it don't surprise me. He's a good little horse. He's in a good camp. Jeff's done a great job with that horse, and any given time he could really go.
When I handicapped this race, it appeared to me that American History and Highlighter are the horses who like to be on the front end. Anna Afrit doesn't necessarily have to do so. So will you look to get a hole behind 1 or 2 of those horses? Is that going to be the strategy going in, or that's not really the way you do it?
No, I mean, he drew inside, so we'll just play it by ear. We'll try and fire him out of there and sit up close.
All right, well, tonight, I tell you what, it's going to be a fantastic preferred handicap, $28,000 tonight's 9th race. It will conclude our early pick 4. George, before we send you away, are you going to be staying at the Meadowlands for the foreseeable future? As it is right now, you're 3rd in the driver colony in wins.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to keep the ball rolling and see. Let the weather play it out. Yeah, we'll see how cold it is. I don't do real good in cold.
You don't like the cold
so,
that much?
No, I'm hanging tough though, and I'm loving it here. So I'm just going to keep the ball rolling.
George Napolitano Jr., thanks so very much for spending a few minutes with us, and continued success here at the Meadowlands.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
Thanks very much to George for joining us. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Shades Dempsey is going to jump in that chair. We're going to talk about Trainer and Driver of the Year, and we'll talk about tonight's featured action.